Hey loves, my name is Iphannie and this is the Iphanniebgentle podcast. So this past weekend was the Oscars and everyone on Instagram was not talking about people winning awards. They were talking about Will Smith slapping the hell out of Chris Rock. Now, there's been a lot of controversy around why this happened or what should have happened instead. And so I want to kind of jump into exactly what I think happened, what I think should have happened, and why I think it happened. So, if you have not heard what happened, pretty much Chris Rock, a comedian, if you're not aware of who Chris Rock is, I don't know where the hell you've been or what rock you've been under, but it clearly hasn't been Chris Rock. Chris Rock is a comedian. He's been a comedian for probably longer than I've been alive, honestly, and he's considered one of the greats. And so he was presenting or hosting, I'm not sure because I did not watch it, but pretty much what happened was Chris Rock was making jokes as any comedian would, and he made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith, and the joke went a little something like this: "Hey Jada, I can't wait to see you in the new G.I. Jane movie." Something around those lines. And everyone was laughing except for Jada. And then when Will realized what was happening, he quickly sprung into husband mode and got on stage and slapped the shit out of Chris Rock. Now, he also made a statement saying, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth." And he said it multiple times, and everyone was just in shock because when the slap initially happened, everyone thought it was a joke. Well, apparently it wasn't a joke. And so later on that night, Will ended up winning, I think it was Best Actor for his role in King Richard, and he profusely apologized to, everyone that was there in attendance except for Chris Rock. So, a lot of people are saying one of two things should have happened. Some people are saying that Will was justified in slapping Chris Rock or resorting to physical violence because for years now, Chris Rock has been aiming at them, has been talking shit about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, have been making sure that they are the butt of every joke. I believe in 2016, Chris Rock actually made a joke about Jada saying that she was not going to attend the Oscars, and he pretty much said well, who invited you anyway? So for years now, there's been some tension building, and I believe what happened was Will has realized that not only is his wife the butt of all jokes, but their whole relationship is. And he is sick and tired of being sick and tired, and he wanted to take action. Now, was he justified in slapping Chris Rock? I personally do believe that he should have taken some form of action. Should have been him physically putting his hands on Chris Rock. Maybe not. A lot of people are saying that there's a time and a place for everything, and there was not a time or a place for him to do that because he is not representing Black excellence when he is acting a fool in front of white people. Now, I don't agree with that. I feel like there's nothing more appealing or more prominent than when you are representing and helping to make sure that you are protecting your wife at all costs. Now, the reason why Will responded the way he did was initially he laughed at the joke until he realized that Jada was not laughing. She did not find that joke funny. Jada recently spoke about her battle with alopecia and why she shaved her head bald on her Red Table Talk, and so everyone was like, that was a bit insensitive of Chris Rock to make a joke like that, especially seeing that she has a condition that she cannot control. So as a woman who, my hair is down to my ass, if you guys were not aware, my hair touches my butt. And if I came down with alopecia and I had to shave my head bald and someone made a joke about that in front of millions of viewers, I would probably lose my shit. I think Jada handled herself really well because for those of you watching on YouTube, you just saw Bali pop up in the screen. I'm sorry about that. But anyways, I feel like there's a time and a place for everything. And even if Chris Rock did not know that that was the situation, which he stated later on, he was not aware that Jada suffered from alopecia, and it was insensitive on his part, where a lot of people are saying, well, that's what comedians do. They joke on each other, they talk shit about you, they hit it where it hurts. That's just like what comedy is all about. Yes, which I completely agree. Comedy, if I'm going to a comedy show, I expect to be picked on. So no, I'm not sitting in the front row. I expect them to talk shit. So I'm going to make sure I'm in the back. And that's just kind of like what you expect when you're going to a comedy show. But when you're going to a prestigious award show such as the Oscars, you definitely don't see yourself getting picked on and talked about, and someone saying something along the lines of like, hey, baldy, wave to the world that you're bald-headed. Like, that is not something that you expect, and that's definitely not something that I feel like my husband should let slide. Now, if I was in that situation and my husband kind of just let it slide and was like, haha, we're joking about it, I would be livid because Jada was clearly holding back tears. It hit her so hard that she was literally holding back tears. And this is not the first time that Will has stood up for his wife. This is not the first time that Will has made sure that he protected his wife at all costs, even if it was to jeopardize the way he looks in front of everyone else. Now, I saw an interesting post today on Facebook where it said, I wish things went a little differently. It pretty much said that for decades since Will and Jada have been together, Will has always protected Jada. He has never embarrassed her. He has always made sure that she was on a pedestal, and he has never taken her off of that pedestal, despite the dramas and the problems that they have, trials and tribulations that they've had in their relationship. But Jada has continuously embarrassed Will, whether that be with the whole August Alsina situation, whether that be with the whole, talking about she wasn't pleased in bed. And I'm not sure that's exactly what she said, but that's what everyone got from what she said. And I just feel like for a long time, people have been kind of disappointed in the way that Will has been treated in his marriage. Now, there are some people that have said that Will and Jada have been in an open relationship and they kind of swing that way. They're swingers. Now, I don't know if that's true because I'm not in the relationship. I'm not in their marriage. That's none of my business. But these things have been said. So, do you guys believe that Jada should have grabbed Will and said, no, babe, it's okay, we'll just handle it, after the award show? Or do you think that Will was justified in his actions towards Chris Rock? Because me personally, if my husband let somebody talk shit about me like that in front of millions of people, child, what is he doing behind my back? What is he doing behind my back? That's a hard no for me. I feel like your husband should be your protector. A lot of women have said, your husband is your protector. He needs to protect you at all costs. No matter what's going on, he needs to stand his ground. He needs to make sure you feel safe, you feel comforted. And I completely agree with that. Now, there are some men that are like, man, he should have just laughed it off. He was laughing from jump. He should have just kept laughing and kept it pushing. But the way he looked at his wife and his wife looked back at him, and you can see the despair in her face, there was absolutely no way Will would have been able to go home and be happy, go lucky, smiling, ha-ha-heeing about that whole situation again. It just was not going to happen. I feel like a lot of people judge men who protect their wives and men who opt to not protect their wives. Of course, I would love to be the wife that's protected. I would never want to be with somebody that I don't feel comfortable with, I don't feel protected with, I don't feel has my best interest at heart. Someone who is not putting their foot down and making sure that I am heard and I am felt and I am understood. I can't be with someone like that because I just feel like, what's the purpose of me being with you if all you're gonna do is just be here and offer penis. Like, I can get that anywhere. I can buy that in the store now, you know? So if my husband is not protecting me, if he is not making me feel comfortable, if he is not validating my feelings, if he is not making sure that everyone else knows that they are not allowed to disrespect me or talk shit about me, or they're just not allowed to treat me any which way, then I absolutely stand with Will. Now, later on, I believe it was today, Will did apologize to Chris Rock in an Instagram post, saying that he was sorry for, physically putting his hands on him. And this is kind of what happened as to why he reacted the way he reacted. Of course, a lot of people were like, well, he doesn't need to apologize. Why is he apologizing? He should have stood on his ground and did that. And then there's a lot of people who are saying, like, and I'm even surprised, because even Boosie now, y'all know Boosie, he a little ratchet, okay? He's a lot of little ratchet, okay? He does a lot of crazy shit that I don't agree with. I feel like a lot of times Boosie is way, way out there, but that's not my place, because he is not a father to any of my children, so I do not care. But even Boosie was like, damn, bro, that was like insensitive. And if Boosie can say that shit was insensitive, it was extremely insensitive. I don't believe that Chris Rock apologized for his joke. I have not seen that surface. But I did see that he said something along the lines of like, oh, my face is fine, my gums blocked the shot, or absorbed the hit, or something like that. Trying to still make a joke out of things, and I don't find it funny. Yes, I'm sure they're both embarrassed. Will was embarrassed for his actions, which he apologized for as he accepted his award. However, and I did see Chris Rock, his reaction, I think, was stunned and embarrassed. However, I do feel like Chris Rock does absolutely owe Jada an apology. There's some things you just don't joke about. Things that are like diseases or ailments, illnesses, death in the family, or just death in general. Those are things that should be off limits. Unless you're joking about yourself, then go for it. But if you're joking about other people, you don't know how certain things affect them. If Jada was the type of person who was so distraught about her situation with alopecia, or her diagnosis with alopecia, and she literally decided to commit suicide over it, then would it be acceptable for him to apologize? No, I think he needs to apologize for it, because it's very disheartening to see people just literally talk shit about someone who has something that they can't control. There's certain things in the world that we cannot control. I used to think that weight was one of them. I used to think that some people just are lazy and they don't want to work out, and they just want to eat whatever, and they want to overeat and XYZ. Some people literally, no matter what they do, can't lose weight because of medical reasons. And as an adult now, I'm starting to understand things like that. So there's certain things that I just will not touch on. Even if I'm going below the belt and we're arguing and talking shit, I'm not talking about somebody's weight. I'm not talking about them being big or small or medium or tall, or I'm not doing it. There's just certain things that are off limits. And I think diseases as well are something that's off limits. So ladies and gentlemen, do you feel like your man should protect you at all costs? When it comes to someone talking about you, when it comes to someone physically doing something to you, or treating you a certain way, do you feel like Will was justified in his actions and his words? Because he didn't just slap him. He was like, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Do you think he was justified? Do you think it was a right time to do that? Do you think he should have addressed it when it happened? Or do you think he should have waited until the award was over and then said something about it? Or do you think if he had waited until it was over, then it was kind of like, okay, well, what was the purpose in saying something now, because you're not addressing it when it happens? I'm very much a address it when it happens type of person. I don't want to wait until tomorrow or next week or next year to say something about it. I want it to be addressed right this second, because a lot of people get slick. You let something slide one time, they take it, you give them an inch and they take 12 miles. Like, we don't got time for that. I need you to know right now that this is not okay. You cannot do this to me. You cannot say this about me. You cannot treat me this type of way. And then we can move forward. If you can't respect my boundaries, because it's all about boundaries. If you can't respect my boundaries, then I don't need you in my space whatsoever. Do you think that there will ever be a comeback for Will and Chris. Have they had a relationship before? Were they cool before? Was it just like a brotherly spat in, later on down the road? Are they going to be cool? I have no idea, because I don't know much about their relationship. I know Will as an actor. Yes, he is a comedian. He's pretty funny in lots of his shows and lots of his movies. But I know him as an actor and kind of like a comedian. I know Chris Rock more so of a comedian than an actor. And I feel like sometimes those lines cross and those paths cross. And I feel like eventually they will have a conversation, and it will be a face-to-face conversation. A lot of people were saying that now they need to bring him onto the Red Table Talk. And then another perspective I got recently was that, well, they said that it was all an act. It was all scripted. I don't think it was scripted. I know that these are actors and actresses, and it's a little hard to tell when they're being honest and genuine with their feelings. That's why I don't think I could ever date an actor, because are you crying for real, or are you playing with me? You just trying to get a rise out of me, or are you for real? Like, what's really going on? Just like with the comedian, I don't think I could joke or I could date a comedian, because nigga, I'm not laughing. It's not funny. I'm crying. Why the fuck are you laughing? I don't find this amusing whatsoever. And I think I struggle with that a lot, because I don't have a joking side per se. I joke sometimes, but I'm more so really chill, really lay back, serious, and then kind of not serious. But as far as people just joking all the time, it gets on my nerves. It works my nerves. It gets on my nerves. I don't find it funny. What are we laughing at? It's not that funny. And it took me a while to kind of break out of my it's not that funny. Now I'm haha, it's a little funny, but it's still not that damn funny. I think as I get older, it will be a lot funnier. I won't be the butt of the joke, so things will be a lot funnier. But now, if I was Jada, I would have been livid. I would have been who the fuck are you talking to? What are we doing right now? This is not a part of the show. And apparently it was not a part of the show. He completely went off script. And a lot of comedians, I've seen Tiffany Haddish, which a lot of people don't find her funny. I find her funny sometimes. Some of the stuff that she says is very funny. And then some of the stuff she says, I'm oh, I could live without that. But she is a great actress, and she does a great job. And she's pulled herself up out of the gutter, literally. And she's done a great job at creating Tiffany Haddish, the Tiffany Haddish. And you walk in a room, you're gonna laugh. You're around her, you're gonna learn something about her. She's very educational. She tells people all the time about her struggle growing up. And so when I'm around people like that, I expect it to be a joke at a comedy show. But when we're not at a comedy show and we're at an award show, I don't think I've ever seen, I don't really watch the Oscars, honestly, but I don't think I've ever really seen comedians cracking hardcore jokes on people at the Oscars. At the BET Awards, they be doing a little ha-ha, hee-hee, and that's it, and they move on to the topic. But at the Oscars, it's very much you won. Here's your trophy, and you're a superstar now, and stuff like that. And I don't know. I feel like there was a time and a place, and that was not the time nor the place. And him going off script, especially in that route, if it was going off script and saying haha, Will, joking about his role, oh, with your knee-high socks on, something, but you're saying something about Jada, who's there to support her husband in one of the biggest, most monumental, historical awards of all time. And I feel like that whole situation literally took away from the shine, because you have not heard, if you guys have been keeping up, you guys have not heard about, Will won an Oscar for this role, this movie did amazing, this movie was phenomenal, Will killed that role. You heard, did you see Will slaps Chris Rock? You see him slap Chris Rock? Did you hear that? Was it fake? Was it real? You saw Jada? You see how she reacted? You saw Lupita's face in the background, which I couldn't even take it serious. I was is this a joke? Did they have the whole table? No, it was serious. It was real. And I feel like the entire Oscars, at first, when he walked up on stage and he slapped slap Chris Rock, everyone was like laughing, like, ah, ha, 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 until Will got back to a seat, and they was like, oh shit, this is real. This is black on black crime. This is real. This is crazy. And I know all the white people was looking at it and like, that's why we don't invite niggas nowhere, because y'all don't know how to act. And that's why people had a problem with the way that Will reacted, because they were like, now you gonna have these white people looking at the black people like, you can't come to our award show because you can't act. You don't know how to act. You just be doing foolishness. You over here rah-rah and fighting each other over a little joke. But if they were the butt of the joke, I guarantee that would not have happened. It would have been something completely different, or the joke would have never happened. So with that being said, I have some do's and don'ts for award shows now. Again, I've never been to an award show, which I'm probably going to go one day, be a little seat filler, and like, I'd rather go to the music shows than go to the Oscars. I fall asleep when I'm watching them. So, but I feel like protect your wife at all costs, regardless of how people feel or what their reactions are going to be to the way that you react. Yes, there's a time and a place for everything, but there's always a time and a place for you to protect your loved ones, protect your spouse, make sure that they are respected and never disrespected, and make sure that you are standing your ground when it comes to them, because sometimes, especially as women, we want to feel protected, and we never want our husbands or our spouses to feel as though they can't protect us. Like, I never want my sweetheart to ever feel like I can't protect my wife from what's going on, because that's probably the most helpless feeling a man can have, is feeling like they can't protect their family. And as Will did, he protected his family the best he knew how at that time. And yes, emotions were running high and there was a lot going on, but at the same time, Will did what needed to be done. And I think people be forgetting, just because he's goofy don't mean that he won't put his foot up your ass, period. And I think a don't is, don't allow people to control how you react to situations. And I know that's like a contradiction, but hear me out. If Will had sat there and said nothing, there would be a completely different debate on what happened. They would have been like, oh, I can't believe Jada is still with somebody that did not defend her, did not protect her, did not make sure that she was taken care of, wasn't mindful of who she is or what's going on with her life, didn't care about her mental health and how that might have affected her. There's a lot of people who will try to beat down on you because you didn't react the way that they expected you to react. But don't give them the reaction they expect. Give them the reaction you feel is necessary. If that means you gotta slap a nigga, if that means you gotta sit down and shut up, if that means that you need to pull someone to the side and be like, hey, what the hell is going on? Help me understand, because I don't think that was right. I don't think that was fair. I don't think you were respectful when you did that. Then that's what it is. Everyone's not a fighter. Everybody ain't the baby. They ain't about to shoot you. Everybody ain't the baby. They ain't about to fight you in a bowling alley. Everybody is not a Will Smith. They ain't going up on a stage and slap you. But women, if you feel like that's the type of defense you need, and you need to be with a man that's going to defend you like that, be with a man that's going to defend you like that. But at the same time, make sure that everything is done with the thought of, how will this affect the aftermath? What will the aftermath be of my actions? And it's hard to do that when you're emotional and you're going through things and all these things are running through your head, and you're seeing your wife cry, or you're seeing your husband emotional. And when you're seeing all this stuff go on, it's hard for you to say like, hey, I need to do this. This is how I need to react. This is what's going to affect, or this is what's going to make the most sense. It's hard to do that, but if you take a second to breathe, take a step back and say, woosah, count to 5, sometimes that's all you need to make a proper decision. Now, to me, was Will improper in what he did? Absolutely not. Because like I said, if my sweetheart had went up there and stopped the nigga, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. I'd have been like, yeah, keep your mouth shut. Like, don't put my name in your shit. That has nothing to do with me. Go on with the show. And let's have a great day. Let's represent Black excellence. I don't like the fact that a lot of people are placing blame on Will when Chris was the one that said it. Chris was the one that made the conscious decision of making that badass joke. The shit wasn't even funny. It wasn't funny. A lot of people laughed about it, ha ha he he, because in, award shows, a lot of times they just laugh at shit or make little noises to fill that air so it's not so awkward. But I wouldn't have found it funny because when he said it, I didn't find it funny. And I was like, oh, that's what we're doing tonight. Okay. So, protect your wife or your husband or your spouse or your children or your family at all costs, regardless of how people see you, regardless of how people feel about you, but also be mindful of what your actions will cause and what reactions you will get after your actions. Don't feel bad about having a Will reaction, and don't feel bad about having a Jada reaction. But make sure that if you as a spouse are giving a Will reaction to a certain situation and then your wife turns around and embarrasses you, just make sure that you are checking the right people. Now, of course, Jada did not deserve that joke whatsoever. I thought it was very insensitive. And again, if somebody joked about me having alopecia or being bald-headed or anything, I'd be wanting to fight too. So shout out to the Wills out there who are checking people as soon as they disrespect their wives, who are checking people as soon as they try to make their family the butt of the joke. Shout out to you guys, whether that be checking them verbally, physically, or sending a cease and desist, something of that nature. Shout out to you guys, because we appreciate men who protect women at all costs, regardless of what everyone else has to say, because at the end of the day, you are not laying down with everybody else. That is your wife. You are going to protect her. That is your husband. You are going to protect him. Those are your children. You will protect them at all costs. Fuck what everybody else got to say. Fuck what I got to say. But shout out to y'all, because we really appreciate you. But yes, that is all for this episode. I just wanted to touch on that a little bit, because I feel like a lot of times people forget that no matter what you're going through, and no matter the situation or the circumstance that you are in, people think that certain things are okay to joke about. And you have to make sure that you are checking people who are joking about certain situations that are not okay to joke about, whether that be about your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your wife, your husband, your children. It does not matter. Check them when they do it. Do not allow these people to think that it's okay to get away with shit like that, because again, you give them an inch, they take 12 miles, and then now you're wondering why you're chasing them down in a whole marathon trying to get them to act right, because they don't know how, because you allowed them to slip up the first time. Check them when it happens the first time, and it's never going to happen again. That's all for this episode. My name is Iphannie. Thank you so much for watching and listening here on Apple Podcasts and Anchor. I will see you guys on my next post. I love you guys. Besitos.